Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Arrival at ATM. Now we have an interview with someone I've been wanting to speak to for some time. I'd like to welcome Peter Jamieson, the Chief Technology Officer for the Department of Culture and Tourism at Abu Dhabi. Peter, welcome.
Thanks very much, Douglas. Good to see you.
Now, one question first. You've got a pretty impressive background in the world of technology and spent many years at Microsoft and elsewhere. I always like to ask this question because look, the travel industry has a bit of a rep in the technology world, and especially in tours and activities and attractions. We're kind of the last mile. Lots of really small businesses, but even some of the larger businesses are historically been trailing a bit in innovative modern technology adoption. What were your impressions when you made the leap into tourism? Is it true? Are we way behind?
No, not at all. The funny thing is, I've worked in multiple sectors. I've worked in public sector. I've worked in finance, manufacturing, and every sector has a challenge of some sort or another. One of the things that really comes in with travel, of course, is it's such a personal thing. Your customer, and every customer is slightly different. Every customer wants something a little bit different. And of course, when technology comes involved, technology can either make or break an experience. So we really have to drive that empathy of the customer more so maybe than any other kind of industry, simply because of the important nature of travel and what it does to us as humans, as humanity, as society. And maybe never so more importantly, since obviously the events of 2020, our emphasis on travel, that desire to travel has never left. And I think, ultimately the expectations of travel will now never be higher. So definitely not one of the, definitely not a bad sector to be in, very, very interesting sector, but ultimately incredibly challenging as well.
So is that personalization, is that the biggest challenge in your mind facing our industry?
I think personalization certainly has a component to it, but it's that connect experience all the way through that drives that personalization. Everyone likes to be greeted with their first name. Everyone likes to, feel like they're super important. Everyone wants to feel like the VIP. Ideally, we want the 5-star service for the 2-star money, right? And that's what we'd all like to kind of achieve. We like the sense of value. We like the sense of compassion through our travel. And yeah, it's I think with travel industry as a whole, when we look at different manufacturers of travel, and if you look at the Disneys of the world, for example, who have managed to maintain their ecosystem, from F&B to the experience, to the rides, to the hotels, and because they own the end-to-end connectivity, it made it quite seamless for the customer to feel like there was that continuous experience all the way through, that the branding was continuous. And then when you move outside a controlled environment, such as like a theme park or a destination such as that, the challenge comes because you have so many different stakeholders. And the technology, of course, is becoming a lot more collaborative. But of course, as businesses work together, and especially after obviously things like COVID, for example, organizational learning, they are better to work together, but this is still a new world that we're living in. So that, I think, has definitely one of the key challenges.
So how can the world of tours and activities and attractions in particular step in to this arena? When I think about, for example, the idea of that connected, trip, this is something that, Booking.com, right, one of the largest online travel agencies in the world has been talking about for years. It still seems to be a kind of mystical, a mystical goal, right? Like a future that everyone keeps talking about, but it seems to be, years out there. So if you've got some of the biggest organizations, online travel agencies, airlines, hotels that are still struggling, to put this together, what's the role of that tour provider, of even, some of the big attractions in the U.A.E? I mean, how can they step into this? What's happening?
Yeah, and I think this is where organizations like DCT play a critical part. we're first and foremost, we're a government entity that's here not only to support the tourism marketing of a destination. Obviously, we have a responsibility for culture, but one of our responsibilities as well is to bring providers together to create truly memorable experiences. And not one organization can do it alone, and it shouldn't be down to individual providers to try and link up with other providers to try and make that connected experience, because all you're then going to have is slightly larger fragmented experiences. So you might have a really good experience with one particular airline and one particular destination provider, but the rest of it doesn't really link together, so the experiences become really, really fragmented. So it's really the role of regulators, DCT as an example, to bring some of those those organizations together, and effectively start trying to drive that experience connectivity together to demonstrate that actually we are better, stronger together than we are individually.
So if that's your role, then let's have it. I mean, what are you doing?
Yeah,
what can you tell us?
Well, look, it's certainly, obviously Abu Dhabi has been, certainly looking at how we've managed COVID response. Globally, we've received fantastic response to the way that we've handled the pandemic, and the U.A.E. as a whole, obviously, has been recognised as a leader inside fighting this awful. But for us, the work never stopped. We continued working all the way through COVID, and we've been working continuously to drive that inspiration to want to visit. And that's everything from, the fact that, we launched an Alexa skill with TripAdvisor to explore Abu Dhabi using your voice, a really nice way of being able to maybe be at home but go somewhere else, whether it be just through your voice or through the imagery coming through Alexa, all the way up to redesigning and relaunching our digital campaign offering in Visit Abu Dhabi and the app which was associated to that. But the work is never stopping. We're continuing, and we have some really exciting developments coming over the next couple of months, which I'm looking forward to unveiling to the world when we get the opportunity.
And is there an opportunity for through your organization to get both larger attractions, but also the longer tail of smaller experience providers and tour guides and tour operators to leverage the same technology, to get on the same systems? We know this has been an ambition of many destinations around the world. Boy, if we could just get all of our suppliers using the same technology, talking the same technology language, wouldn't that be amazing? And look at all of the benefits. I know that in Dubai, for example, they've been working on an initiative through kind of Prio Hub as well to try to do something there. Is it a unique situation in Abu Dhabi where you're able to do this? And what's the response from businesses and entrepreneurs that want to chart their own technology path?
Yeah, no, again, super question. I don't think it's it's by any manner of means isolated to the U.A.E. or Abu Dhabi alone. A lot of this comes about the buy-in from all sectors. We've seen historically organizations who want to differentiate themselves from using other technology. We've seen hotel brands, for example, use keyless entry into the hotel rooms using mobile phones, for example. That's coming now kind of commonplace. But they wanted to proprietarize that data or that functionality to make it a benefit, make it a selling feature, and ultimately keep it relatively unique. So, technology to some extent is still and still will continue to be a differentiator for many brands and many organizations. So when you have that as I suppose a barrier to collaboration, you then need to kind of start taking it a few steps back and say, well, how do you still allow individualism? Ultimately, you don't want every experienced brand to necessarily have the same technology footprint. That's not really going to drive innovation in any particular format. So it's going to be very linear innovation. Having the competition is good. Having that that constant drive for innovation is spectacular. So the only way you can do it otherwise is through data. And data for us and Abu Dhabi is probably singly one of the most important components to our future. If we think of how we make connectivity between different experiences, which may operate different platforms, but we have an open data platform that allows for that connectivity between different systems and different profiles. That, I think, is where the key of it comes in. And I think the idea of having a single PMS system for all the hotels is it's a fantastic idea, and it'd be wonderful. But ultimately, it takes away some of the individualism that brands want to establish. And I don't think that's the right thing for the market. I think it is good to have that level of individualism, that level of competition. We do want to see experiences and different areas kind of use technology in an innovative way. And we can't put barriers to that. But what we can do is support it with data, because ultimately these experiences are powered with data altogether.
Major attraction. I could be the Louvre in Abu Dhabi, or I'm just a small I'm a smaller DMC.
Yeah.
What does this mean to me? How can I plug in?
How can you tap in? It's from our perspective. The vision is that fully connected experience. So let's say that experience starts from our own home right here. I'm using the Alexa skill. I maybe stumble across the idea of Abu Dhabi. I want to understand a little bit more about the destination. I'm likely to go to some digital channels to go and find that out. I may also use social media, so I'm starting to engage on multiple levels with the destination in one form or another, which is leaving in some form or another a digital footprint as we move, as that individual goes forward. What we're trying to do at that stage is use the data that we collect to understand what the interests are. That interest might be, it's a family destination. They're looking for family experiences. It might be that it's a bit more of a thrill seeker. They want to kind of feel adrenaline on the world's fastest roller coaster. So it's about getting that information, and then once we get to a point where a customer is ready to commit to a purchase, whether that be through an airline, or whether that be through a tour operator or a travel agent, we then capture that from the point of purchase all the way to the point where they then obviously grab on board a flight, and that's when I think the magic really can happen. And that's kind of what we're working on in the background. Is it shouldn't feel that you're ever alone when you're in the airport waiting to get your destination. You should feel that you're connected. The instant message pops up. You've got 2 hours to go before you reach Abu Dhabi. We've got this prepared for you. Once you arrive at the airport, we're making small touch points experiences. We're making your flow through the airport super easy. Obviously, we're doing a massive piece of work at the moment in Abu Dhabi for our new terminal, which will be opening soon. And again, giving those kind of experiences because of that infrastructure is in place, that allows us to then take the guest from the hotel, all the way through to from the cab all the way to the hotel room, which of course then just makes such a big difference once that's all relieved, because they don't have to then worry about trying to find their way to where they need to get to. Once they're in the hotel, we should really then, the hotel shouldn't necessarily be capitalizing solely on that data. Ultimately the hotel profits from being able to venture that experience further and broader if they can involve third parties, so tour operators, experience operators, whatever it may be. And it's about making those connections. So again, using things like the Visit Abu Dhabi platform with our tools for the concierges within inside the hotel. Every concierge within inside Abu Dhabi will have access to that back-end system to be able to start making unique recommendations that are personalized to that individual. And that's not a robot doing that.
I mean, but is this almost an internal OTA, like an online travel agency within Abu Dhabi that resellers in that market, like a concierge, can use?
Yeah, so it's what it's basically doing is connecting people together, and so there will be a marketplace background to it, but ultimately what it's all about is connecting. If I walk into a hotel and I say to the concierge, "Hey, I'm here with my wife, my 2 children. I'm really interested in these kind of things." rather than the hotel concierge, which typically, you know, if we could think about any hotel we normally go into, we put, you know, they put the paper map on the table, they get their red pen out, they start circling where to go. They say, hey, tell them that Max recommended you, and you know, they'll give you a discount or some special experience. Well, what we want to do is take all that knowledge that was captured on that piece of paper that will likely find a trash bin within a few days after the customer's left. What we want to do is digitize that. And we want to make sure that that experience then is captured. So once that conversation's happened with the concierge and the concierge has made that that profile then is with that customer all the way through. So if the concierge has made a note and said, hey, it's Peter's birthday, and you know, we booked this restaurant, well, that restaurant will then have that knowledge when they arrive through the door, so they can have those little hidden surprises of, oh, you know, there's a birthday cake suddenly has arrived to my table. Isn't that incredible? And it might be that, you know, they think, oh, wow, that concierge was incredible. He must have phoned up the restaurant ahead of time, or he's made a special call to someone. But the fact it's seamless all the way through. The concierge has done his job, but he's able to do so much more with his time because he's able to leverage the power of the data around the system. And of course, it comes the other way. If the customer's had a spectacular time at an Arabic restaurant, for example, they discovered a new food which they never tried before. It's about putting that data back into the system. So, you know, when the hotel concierge, you know, speaks to the customer again and say, oh, you know, did you enjoy the food? Knowing that they did. Oh, well, you know what, we have an Arabic tasting session this evening. You know, please come along, and we'll love to have you there, and you can taste some of the delicacies which you might enjoy having. So it's about, you know, it's about taking the focus away from, you know, individual data silos that have historically been there for years, both within travel industries and others, and breaking those silos down and saying, well, actually, you know, the only person who profits from this is the customer. They get a superb, memorable experience from that process.
So we just have a minute or two left, but so the $1 million question is, you know, where do I sign up, and you know, when can I start, you know, experiencing this?
Well, come to Abu Dhabi. You know, it's you know, we have spectacular weather and spectacular attractions. So, you know, come. You know, we're obviously, this is a continuing iteration. We hope to launch some very interesting announcements in the next couple of months, which I'll be delighted to share once we can. But you know, rest assured that you know, while COVID may have paused a lot around the world, certainly at DCT we never stopped, and we've continued working and innovating, and we're looking forward to showing the world what we've been working away at while we've been getting this amazing destination ready for everyone to come back to.
Peter, thank you so much for joining us. Ladies and gentlemen, Peter Jamieson, the Chief Technology Officer for the Department of Culture and Tourism at Abu Dhabi. Thank you.
Thanks, Douglas.